details of the fiscal policy. Okay, let me share. Day by day, all of your number of students are going down. That means the attendance is falling down day by day. So can you tell me what is fiscal policy, first of all? Because I have already told you what is fiscal policy and all. Anyone with a voluntarily, if you want to tell me what is fiscal policy?
Fiscal policy is done by Government of India when the inflation is going on. That Government of India is try to invest some money in those fields where employment can be generated.
Very good. It is only made in that time when the inflation is low, or it was it is a policy which is meant by government every time. Because this policy is, that means according to you, only when inflation is very low in that time period, this policy is being used by the government of India. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in other time, the policy is not being used.
No, ma'am, it's not like that. But especially at the time of inflation, because means inflation is means in such a period that the general citizen wants to get some benefit from the government side. That's why.
Okay, very good. Anyone else wants to share what is fiscal policy?
Ma'am, actually, fiscal policy is the economic steps which will be taken by the government, means in the economic environment. The government, what are the revenue collection and expenditure, means what are the gains through like profit tax and other means of collection from the citizens, and and how it will be expanded for the development of the economic activity and the living standard of the society, like in the form of different scheme and subsidy. So in that aspect, the government revenue collection and expenditure to the citizens.
Very good. Anyone else? While we're talking about fiscal policy, I have already we had a discussion about fiscal policy in my last class, and I told you that it is a government initiation through which government try to create capital. And as we all know that government do not have various different way of making capital. There are very few ways through which government can create capital. And in this particular policy, government try to create capital through taxation and licensing. There is no other way. There is only two ways. One is taxation, one is licensing, through which government try to create money. But what is exactly, যদি আমি কইবা, what is exactly fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is a policy which is called as a ratio between the income and expenditure of the government. That means what government makes an income, and about how to make expenditure of that income also, that ratio is maintained through this policy. And as if I have already discussed in my previous class that in India we always see the fiscal deficit, and the basic reason hela kono? The basic reason hela that India always or the population of India or maximum population of India are under the struggling section of the economy. And when your population are the strugglers, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ population struggle କରୁଛି for the economy, then definitely the government has to make some initiation, has to take some initiation for the struggling section of economy. Now, say just struggling section knows neither they pay any kind of tax to government, nor direct or indirect taxes ସେମାନେ ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି, maximum direct and indirect taxes ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି, and they are enjoying maximum benefit of the government. That's why ଆପଣ ଯେତେବେଳେ fiscal policy କଥା କହୁଛନ୍ତି, in max time we see the fiscal deficit in government. And while we see the fiscal deficit, the Prime Bank of India, which is called the Central Bank of India, he tries to make cover this economic deficiency of Government of India. Now, if you can see, there are some handwritten notes of mine that I have, want to show to you. That is, what is fiscal policy? As if I have told you that this is the policy through which government try to make an attempt to achieve the very macroeconomic and macro goals of the government, which is to create money. And also this is the policy through which government always try to make a balance between the income and expenditure. Fine. Government कौन करुची ना, एटा जो policy create करची, it is a serious attempt to maintain the macro goals of the government. Macro goals है ना कौन ना revenue generate करिबा, income generate करिबा for government. ये जो macro goals को other way रे जदि अपन कहिबो ना, policy also helps to make out kind of a balance between the income or revenue and expenditure of the government. There are some basic objectives of this policy. There are 4 basic objectives of this policy. That was full employability or creation of full employment, making price stability, reduction in economic inequality, and economic development. These are 4 different major focus of this policy. Sorry, major focus of this policy, objective of the policy जदि हमें कहबा कोन ना, this policy or fiscal policy always try to create employability for the people, and that's why the major focus and objective of this policy to create employability for the general well-being. And I always say that this is the only one way. अपन जदि कहबे कोन way अछि through which economic development he paribo, business environment development he paribo, then I say that is full employability. If every person in India got some employability, direct or indirect employability, direct कहले हमें government रो कहउछु, indirect कहउछु private sector रो कहउछु, direct or indirect employability, then definitely it will help the people to purchase product from the market. Fine. जो limitations रहुची हमर purchase रो, से limitations रहिबनी, and once ए जो limitation ता जदि आपनकर बाहर जाउची, that means आपण you want to buy a television, then you have to think about what are the what exactly my limitations of money that I could spend to buy a TV. Mo the TV किने चाहूँचे, मोर limitations कोन? I could able to spend max 15,000 for a TV. that अधिका मु खर्च करि परिबे नहीं. So जदि employability रहिबो, आपनकर जो buying limitations गुडा को purchasing limitations रहिबनी. And if you don't have a purchasing limitations, remember it would help you. It would help the business environment to grow up. Fine. So that's why government first or this policy a policy first objective is to make employability, create employability for the people. But आजिका डेट रे टाटा रु नै बाटा पर्यंत गवर्नमेंट सबु को प्राइवेटाइज्ड करि देला. Fine. So while you are talking about everything is now privatized, there are few government organization left, and that's why the government jobs, government created jobs are very limited. Ajika date government jo job create karutila, that was very limited, and all the government organizations now become privatized. So apankar private organization re they are looking for their own benefit rather than they are creating employability. ସେମାନେ first ଦେଖିବେ କି ତାଙ୍କର benefit ରହୁଛି, ଯଦି employed ଲୋକ ଅଧିକା ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ଅଧିକା salary ଦଉଛି, then they will try to cut down the employability. So that is their decision. Government interference ତା ଦେହରେ ରହିବ ନାହିଁ. Now looking to this, government now focuses to start up businesses. So that's why government is making different kind of initiations like conferences, meeting, organizations, those who are actually looking for this startup. So startup jodi apan karuchan, that means entrepreneurship. You not only being created job for yourself, but also you can create a job for the other. That was the first objective of fiscal policy. Came to the second objective, that was called price stability. Now what do you understood by price stability? Sorry.
ये जो आपण एम्प्लॉयमेंट कथा कहले फुल एम्प्लॉय माने एम्प्लॉयमेंट रे गवर्नमेंट क्यूरेटेड जॉब तो कमी गलानी जो प्राइवेटाइजेशन करूची माने प्राइवेट रे तो समाने सैलरी एज कंपेयर टू गवर्नमेंट अपेक्षा कम दउछन तो माने केमिति एडा माने फिस्कल पॉलिसी जो गवर्नमेंट माने प्राइवेटाइजेशन करूची तार इंपैक्ट एक्चुअली माने कोन ठीक है नो डाउट एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ुची किंतु जदी हमें लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड
एम्प्लॉयमेंट इन इंडिया बढ़ुची आपण रेशियो देखंतु एनसी कोन एनसीआरटीसी रे रेशियो देखंतु लास्ट 10 years रे employability in India decreases to 7.5%. जहाँ employability रे रेशियो थिला सेरा डिक्रीज करूची, नो डाउट अबाउट दैट. फाइन. तार गोटे बेसिक रीजन है देखो गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी कमुची, गवर्नमेंट चाकरी बाहरिबा बंद होची, सेटा तो हमें बुझी पारुछु बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट नाउ फोकसेस टू प्राइवेटाइजेशन, मर्जर्स. जितले मर्जर्स एंड प्राइवेटाइजेशन हुए डेफिनेटली आपनकर नंबर ऑफ जॉब्स कमिबो. Full employability is one of the objective of fiscal policy, but that was not the objective of government. Government ro objective hela jo organization not able to create profit for the government tried to make it privatized. I'm talking about one particular example like Air India. Last 15 years Air India is not able to generate any kind of surplus for government. Fine. जदि आपण केस स्टडी को जिबे एयर इंडिया रो, you could able to find out there are various reasons why Air India was not able to create benefit for the government. First one, its salary structure, number of employees, the structure of taking expenses from the customers, जो माने आपनकर टिकट करचंदी तांकर expenses. ए सब गोटे गोटे फैक्टर रहउची why Air India is not able to create benefit for the government. and जेतले संस्था बहु वर्ष हलानी आपन को कोनोसी प्रकार बेनिफिट देई परुनी, so obviously if आपन भी यदि गवर्नमेंट जगह रे थांते आपन भी at a some extent you have to take a decision, and that decision is why to sustain such kind of organization with government. It has to be goes to the private party. If the private party vigorously wants to take that, and the private party is able to create benefit out of a sick organization, then why should not it has to be gone to the private party. So there is no wrong decisions in that, starting from Air India to MTNL. Any organization which is being in a loss making format roji taku privatized karibar kichi problem nahi. Fine. But yes, it will somehow focus, it will somehow make impact on employability. कारण जेतले प्राइवेट पार्टी पाखु को जाउची से केते लोकन को एम्प्लॉयड रखिबो, it is on their hand, because they first of all they look to the sustainability and profit. से माने देखिए प्रॉफिट हबा दरकार, प्रॉफिट हेले ही आपन को ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सस्टेन करिवो. जदि प्रॉफिट ना होचे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सस्टेन करिवोनी. सो मे बी से माने एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी को कट डाउन करिवे, इट इज इन देयर हैंड. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ତ जो फुल एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी रा फोकस होची सरकार द्वारा केमती ना स्टार्टअप द्वारा आजिका डेट रे आपण नरेंद्र मोदी को देखिबे दे एवरी 6 months रे नरेंद्र मोदी इज अनाउंसिंग सम ऑफ द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स आपण टीवी देखिबे तदरा लैक्स एग्जांपल दोची स्टार्टअप रो why because now this is only one way where some of the skilly people take a risk to make a organization, and if the organization runs in a very run in a very good way, then definitely it will not create only employability for the person who start the business, but also it create employability for large number of population who are directly indirectly involved to that process. बुझी होची ସେଥିପାଇଁ कि full employability is really a challenge in India because of the population आपण कहि दियंतु because of our education system कहि दियंतु आपण बहुत फैक्टर नेबे जोटी कि full employability गोटे challenge इंडिया रे सो सरकार करिवे कोन सरकार जदी गवर्नमेंट चाकरी क्रिएट करिवे ताले सरकार गो पई एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ी जाउची and we might be facing certain kind of situation or financial situation like Sri Lanka, so सरकार सेटा को अफोर्ड कर परबेनी प्राइवेटाइज्ड कले प्राइवेट पार्टी हाथ को गला परे what kind of employabilities they are offering that is on their hand, they could not go along with the sarkari policies. Third hela, if these are the major failure, then what is the next thing? The next thing is try to give skill to the people so that लोक माने निजो पई कि निजे employability खोजिबे बुझी होची जेमति कि गोटे मझिरे आपनकर बहुत टीवी रे एडवर्टाइजमेंट देला द चाय वाली पुना यूनिवर्सिटी रो गोटे मास्टर डिग्री स्टूडेंट she has searching for job for last 2 to 3 years से search kala and she could not find a good job for herself. Then she has prepared a chai trolley in front of the Pune University, and that trolley is work like anything. It trolley ta bahut kam dela. Now her turnover in a month is something like some 50,000 or 60,000. So आपण जदि गोटे भल जगह भी चाकरी करूचंदी ताले इनिशियली आपण को 50-60 हजार के दउ नाहंती जदि आपण चार ठेला भी करी किना 50-60 हजार रोजगार करि परचंदी then what is wrong in that? So these are like motivation for the people who says that आम पाखे चाकरी नहीं एबे चाकरी मिलिबा is a very difficult task. So if you have a skill जहा बनेबा भी गोटे skill you have to learn it. Fine. So जदि आपण पर कोनोस भी skill अछि according to the सरकार, then you have to you have to make it into work. ସେଥିପାଇଁ गवर्नमेंट आपण को विभिन्न प्रकार सहायता दबा started from loan to various kind of facilities like consultation and all. एटा गवर्नमेंट तरफ रु आपण को मिली जिवो so that you could able to start your business. Fine. So that is called full employability. Then price stability. Price stability is something which is essential in India like country where we have various kind of zones, we have states and all. So सबुआडे जो हमें प्रोडक्ट गुडा बिकु सरकारी प्रोडक्ट हो और प्राइवेटाइज्ड प्रोडक्ट हो तार प्राइस रे बहुत हेलेन डिफरेंसेस आपण देखुचंती. So price stability means it has to be stable so that people will buy, and also price stability refers to the product came along with a minimum value when minimum price. So minimum price kaun pai? Because the population of India are not able to buy the product which came along with a high price, so that it is one of the initiative of the government to make a price in a very stable condition which can be offered to all kind of people of India. Fine, that was called price stability. Okay. Now reduction in economic inequality. So now tell me what you understood by economic inequality. मु आपन गोटे एग्जांपल दोची इकोनॉमिक इनइक्वालिटी जेमति कि गोटे प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर पर्सन गोटे बीपीएल लोक पाखरे विभिन्न प्रकार फैसिलिटी रहउची गवर्नमेंट रो where he could able to buy rice with 1 rupee he could able to find out electricity which is free. He could able to find out gas cylinder which is free through the Ujjwal Yojana and all. But ସେଇଠି ଆପଣ ଯେତେବେଳେ APL category ରେ ଆସି ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ କୌଣସି economic facilities ପାଉନାହାନ୍ତି, social economic facilities ପାଉନାହାନ୍ତି. So government always try to reduce this economic inequality, but in India it is a major failure. India it is a major failure that government is unable to create or make this inequality gap taku government ako squeezed kari paruni, taku choto kari paruni. Fine. But jetala ame policy kuchu, yes please.
Ma'am, I have a question. If
Yeah, please.
if the government thought that the company or organization is not sustained, not generated any profit last couple of years, so that government think that that organization need to privatization.
Yes.
So if the economical equilibrium, if it is failure by the government, can this project hand over to the privatization? It is better, na? Private company is doing the better work.
Which equilibrium?
Ma'am?
Which equilibrium?
You saying na that the BPL category they getting more facility, economical they getting more facility. Government try to
But
bring.
But ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ organization को privatize କରିବା, it is in the hand of government. But ଗୋଟେ social economic inequality को से privatize କେମିତି କରିବ? କରିଛି ଅବଶ୍ୟ, ଯେମିତି କି ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଆହାର ଯୋଜନା ନେଇ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ, ସରକାର କିଛି initiative ନେଇଛି ଯୋଉଠି କି private party को involve କରୁଛି, but how it was possible? ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ broader think ନିଅନ୍ତୁ, ଗୋଟେ organization ଯଦି sick ହଉଛି ତାକୁ privatize କରି ଦଉଛି government, fine. But ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ population who are under the BPL category, ତାଙ୍କୁ କେମିତି private sector କୁ ନବ, ମାନେ private sector ତାଙ୍କୁ କାହିଁକି help କରିବ? ସେମାନେ CSR କରିବେ, which we have already.
My concern is that total project handover to the private company.
But but why the private companies are taking this project? Private company, ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ private company ହେଇଥିଲେ, ଆପଣ କଣ ଅନ୍ନପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣା ଗୋଟେ 1 ଟଙ୍କିଆ ଚାଉଳ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥାକୁ ନିଜେ adopt କରିଥାନ୍ତେ କି ସରକାରୀ ଯୋଜନାକୁ? ଏଟା ତ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ loss ନା, private party କାଇଁ ନବ? ଆହାର ଯୋଜନା ନବା କି midday meals private party ନବା, it's a different issue. आ ପାଇଁ government पैसा ଦଉଛି, fine. But ଉଜ୍ଜଳା ଯୋଜନା को private ଲୋକ ନବ କାହିଁକି? ଆପଣ ନେଇଥାନ୍ତେ କି ମୁଁ ନେବି? ଆମେ ନବାନି, କଣ ପାଇଁ ନା ଆଦରେ ଲାଭ ନାହିଁ। ଆପଣ କୋଉଠୁ ଟଙ୍କିକିଆ ଚାଉଳ ଆଣିକି ଦେବେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ? ବୁଝୁଛନ୍ତି? ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ଲୋକ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ପାର୍ଟି ବି ନବ, ସେ ବି ତ ନିଜର ଲାଭ ଦେଖିବ ନା। Otherwise, why some private party is taking initiation? That's why ଆଜିକା ଡେଟରେ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଦେଖୁଛି ଯୋଉଟା ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ପାର୍ଟି ନେଇପାରିବ, ଗୋଟେ କମ୍ପାନୀ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ପାର୍ଟି ନଉଛି, ଅଦରୱାଇଜ ୟୁ ଗୋ ଫର ଦି ଆଉଟସୋର୍ସିଂ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଅଲ୍। ତାର ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, ମୁଁ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି କଥା କହୁନି, ଯେମିତିକି ଟ୍ରେନରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ପେଣ୍ଟ୍ରି କାର ଅଛି, ଆପଣ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଛୋଟ ଥିଲେ ଟ୍ରେନରେ ଯାଉଥିଲେ, ପେଣ୍ଟ୍ରି କାର ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟର ଥିଲା, ନା ଇଟ ଇଜ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟାଇଜଡ। ସରକାର ଦେଖିବେ ଯୋଉଥିରେ ତାକୁ ଲାଭ ନାହିଁ, ଧୀରେ 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 ତାକୁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ପାର୍ଟି କି ଦଉଛନ୍ତି, ଥର୍ଡ ପାର୍ଟି କୁ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି, so that ସେ ଲୋକ ତାର ରେଭିନ୍ୟୁ ଜେନେରେଟ କରୁ, ସରକାରଙ୍କ ହାତରୁ ସରକାର ଛାଡି ଦଉଛନ୍ତି। ବଟ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ସବସିଡି କଥା କହିବା, why any private party will interfere in this particular scenario? ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କାହା କଥା କହିବା ନା, ସବସିଡି କଥା କହିବା, ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି? So that is giving economic inequality means କଣ ନା, ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ 3 ପ୍ରକାର ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି। ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକ, ଗୋଟେ particular sector of people, they are taking subsidy from government. ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ particular APL category ରେ ଅଛୁ, ଯୋଉମାନେ କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର subsidy use କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ particular category ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉମାନେ high rich group ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି, they are they are try to create market for both these people. ଆମ ପାଇଁ ବି ମାର୍କେଟ କ୍ରିଏଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ବି ମାର୍କେଟ କ୍ରିଏଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି, ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟର ମେଜର କାମ ହେଲା ତାକୁ ରିଡ୍ୟୁସ କରିବା। ବଟ୍ ସେଟା କେତେବେଳେ ପସିବଲ? if the control in population can be there, jodi population control hochi, then it is possible. If full employability was there, then it is possible. Or else, if the inflow of money from any source, apan LPG concept inflow of money kuntu koti the inflow of money bahut adhiga habo government of India ko, then also kichi matra re economic equality asibo, otherwise asiba very difficult. Then came to the next point, that is economic development. Yes, any policy of government, it was like economic policy nahi jantu, fiscal policy niyantu, apanଙ୍କର monetary policy niyantu, apanଙ୍କର any policy, industrial policies niyantu, every policy end of the day have one motto, that we need economic development. And if the economic development was not there, then definitely our country is going to be in a ducks condition. That's why it is very essential that economic development habba dorkar. Now, some of the methods of income and expenditure was adopted by fiscal policy. Fiscal policy kichta income or expenditure or method adopt kare. What are the methods are? Methods are taxation policy, government expenditures, public debt, and deficit financing system. Taxation policy. In India, we are finding out two different way of taxation policy. Other kichi policy rochi joti government income the revenue generate kurchi, and some policies are there joti expenditure hochi government ro. Fine. Taxation policy kote rochi direct taxation policy and indirect taxation policy. So what is direct taxation policy of India, government of India?
Income tax.
Sorry, income tax. That is absolutely correct. Income tax. Indirect tax.
GST.
GST.
Very good. Very simply, joti an individual is giving taxes through an intermediation, that is indirect tax. Or joti is direct dauchi paisa, that is direct tax. Right? So this taxation, direct ho, indirect ho, it is a kind of a revenue generated policy, generating policy for the government. Next policy, which is our method of fiscal policy, is called government expenditure. Remember that the public expenditures bear important effect on aggregate demand. If the government expenditure increases, aggregate demand increases, and vice versa situation we see. Now, the government expenditure jodi badhuchi, fine. If the government expenditure increases, kette bele increase kurchi government expenditure? Jetale government bahut adhika ru adhika create policies for the priority sector. Jodi government priority sector pai bahut adhika policies announce karuchi, bahut adhika subsidy announce karuchi, tahale government expenditure body jauchi, bahut adhika badhuchi, and it will create a aggregate demand which also increases as compared to the as similar to the expenditure increases. Jette expenditure increase karibo sette dekhibe aggregate demand भी increase karibo, and vice versa situation भी देखिए, जदि expenditure कमी गला demand भी कमी जिवो. So it is a kind of expenditure of the government which needs to be controlled. Public debt policy. Public debt policy means what? We have two different type of debt policy, that was called internal debt policy and external debt policy. Government ro di prakar debt policy अछि. आपण मानक भितर के बुझी परछन internal debt policy कोन? Government रो. Yes, anyone? Public debt policy kono? What is public debt policy? Now, what do you understand by debt?
Loan.
Liability.
Leverage loan.
Yes,
Liability
loan.
loan.
Liability or loan. That is absolutely correct. Mo adre gote example apanku douchi. You must heard about India R&D Vyavastha, research and development wings. And you see, in India, there are lots of projects which is made by the students, scholars, scientists, जोथिरे की semane research and development करंती. And for this research and development, every year India is having a kind of amount of money from World Bank is around 7,000, more than 7,000 crore million dollar prati varsha. But eta hala inflow of money for research and development from World Bank jota ki government ko fereya ko padeni. Fine. But simultaneously, India every year take a loan for research and development around 3,000 crore rupees. Fine. Kaun pangi nauchi loan? Specifically, when we're talking about agricultural research and development. Agricultural research and development, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ loan ନଉଛନ୍ତି, government loan ନଉଛି World Bank ରୁ, it comes along with a subsidized loan. ଏଟା World Bank ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ subsidized loan ଦବ. ଆଦିରେ specifically କଣ ହଉଛି ନା, there are 3 different type of debt policy or loan policy ରହୁଛି. One is called blue box policy, green box policy and amber box policy. Blue box policy ହେଲା କଣ? That was directly involved with research and development. पैसा ଆସିଲା, ଆମର rice cultivation କମି କମି ଯାଉଛି, ତ ତା ଉପରେ ଲୋକ research କଲେ and ତା ଦେହରୁ ସେମାନେ rice ର cultivation କେମିତି ବଢିବ, because our population is very high and demand of rice is very high. That's why କେତେ ଅଧିକ ମାତ୍ରାରେ ଆପଣ rice generate କରିପାରିବେ, so that demand and supply similar ହବ. ତା ଉପରେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହେଲା. That was called blue box, ଯୋଉଟା କି directly ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହଉଛି research and development ଉପରେ. Then we have green box policy. Green box policy re the money has been invested for the betterment of the for the fertilizer or maybe ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ insecticides ସେଗୁଡା ଉପରେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହଉଛି. That was indirect. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ, that was called amber box loan or amber box debt policy, loan policy. ସେଥିରେ କଣ ହଉଛି ନା, ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବହୁ ବର୍ଷ ଗୋଟେ farmer is making cultivation in one particular land for rigorously from last 20 years 25 years କରିବାରୁ କଣ ହୁଏ ନା, land ର fertility କମି ଯାଏ. Now government announces amber box loan for the land fertility, ଯୋଉଠି କି land fertility କମି ଯାଉଛି, ସେଇ ଯୋଉ farmer ରହୁଛି ସେ complaint register କରୁଛି and government ଲୋକ ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି, they are testing the land. ସେମାନେ decide କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି next କେତେ ଦିନରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ land fertility ଟା increase କରିବ, and ଯେତିକି ଦିନ decide ହଉଛି, like 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, whatever the duration which is fixed by the scientist, ସେଇ ଯୋଉ 5 ବର୍ଷ 4 ବର୍ଷ କି 3 ବର୍ଷର ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ସେ farmer has to be beared by the government of India. That was called amber box. Government ର debt policy ହେଲା କଣ, ଯୋଉ loan ରେ subsidies available ରହୁଛି from the World Bank, ସେ loan ଆଣୁଛି. Fine. And in that way, government also try to give loan to the general public. One more is called deficit financing. Deficit financing we have already discussed. Deficit financing.
সেটা খাইবো না শোইবা, নাই সেটা খা না শোইবা.
Sonali, mute yourself. Fine. Now, while we're talking about deficit financing, we have already discussed what is deficit financing. Deficit financing ମାନେ ହେଲା କଣ ନା, ଯେତେବେଳେ very simply ଆପଣଙ୍କର income କମ, revenue କମ and expenditure ଅଧିକା ହଉଛି, and that is always seen in Indian government of India, and it is called as deficit policy or fiscal policy in a deficit condition. In that time period, government of India always look to the central bank, and central bank directly indirectly try to help the government and try to drag him from this particular situation. It's not moving on. Just a minute. Just a minute, I'm looking for one more page. Okay, देखिए दिए पेज टा कोड़े गला. Okay, दीटा ही ऊपर अच्छे. Oh, sorry, ଆପଣଙ୍କର mute ଅଛି ତ ପିଲାମାନେ କେହି କିଛି କହୁନ ମତେ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ମୁଁ mute ଥିଲି ମୁଁ ପଢେଇ ଚାଲିଛି and ମୁଁ mute ଥିଲି sorry I have told you the advantages of fiscal policy mute ହେଇକି ପଢେଇ ଦେଇଛି ତମକୁ ଆଉ ଥରେ unmute ହେଇକି ପଢଉଛି so advantages of fiscal policies are write down because it was not download होनी एई portion टा मो पाखरे so advantages of fiscal policy लिखि दियंतु first one is capital formation second advantage is resource mobilization third advantages are incentives to public sector fourth one increases saving fifth one poverty alleviations sixth one reduction in inequality seventh one export promotion these are some of the advantages kon roila first one the first one is fiscal policy jemde me koilu tar major motto hela capital creation or revenue generation second hela resource mobilization that means mobilize the resources which is available in India and it will make a help to the government third hela incentives to the private sectors so private sectors must be created incentives and must be must be taken incentives then encourages saving yes government always try to encourage people to make savings so that apanଙ୍କର financial institution move karibo poverty alleviation yes also it is one of the major project under the fiscal policy je apano poverty ta ko bahar karibe utheibe kameibe and it is only possible if the employability was there reduction in inequality that is already being discussed by us and export promotion jette loko jehetu Indian currency in comparison to various different type of dollars it is very low that's why if you made export then you'll definitely make benefit out of that and it will not only benefit it to you but also benefit it to the government now came to the drawbacks or limitations of the fiscal policy drawback kon first and foremost drawback is its lack of elasticity other elasticity ro prashna nahi non monetization sector that means government ro poor monetization or controlling system inadequate statistics government was not able to create a proper statistics so that it could able to control the system illiteracy lokamanଙ୍କର education is not a not very proper in India that's why literacy also a major drawback of this fiscal policy delay in decisions apanko dekhantu company law 2013 ro asilani now it is 22 we are not having all the laws are not being implemented in a proper way so that delay in decisions limitations in full employability we have a long discussion upon this defective tax structure still we have a defective tax structure inflation the rate of inflation is always low which is very bad and huge investment and it will be create a problem for the people so that these are the drawbacks of the fiscal policy so anything you want to ask about fiscal policy tar kichhi pachari diyantu then we will go to the industrial policy now what is industrial policy industrial policy is a statement which defines the role of government in industrial development and the place of the public private sector in industrialization of the country and while we're talking about industrial policy yes foreign investment is also a major part of industrial policy Mujhela industrial policy kono na industrial policy is a statement which defines the role of government in the industrial development, the major focus it kon rahbo government ro, the major focus is how to develop the industrial policy so that the industry is also being developed and it will create more benefit to the government and private and public sector both. What are the basic objective of industrial policy? Jodi apan kohibe, what are the basic objective of industrial policy? The objectives are first objective is rapid industrial development. So whatever policies we have, industrial policies we have, that is one focus point was there. That is, industries must be increased in a very rapid way. So it was the first objective. Second objective is balance industrial structure. If the industrial structure is completely balanced, then balanced means kon bhabuchandi? Balanced means it has should have to should this industries have a very improved kind of structure which must be matched to the present scenario, then you can say that industry structure is good and it will help to the industrial development. Third is prevention of concentration of economic power. If the economic power not being in the hand of some particular people, then also industrial development will seen in a very rapid way. Then what else was there? That was called balanced economic growth or balanced regional growth. If you see the industrial development, it requires a balanced regional growth. Jodi apanka industries nahi, the government has to take an initiative so that industry must be increased in that particular regions. Jodi apanka industry kom achi, seti industry adhika hele employability badibo. So that was called balanced regional growth. So these are major objective of the industrial policy. Anyone, anything want to ask? I'm going little fast in industrial policy because our classes semti jemti ki amku kichi portion, some portion of the syllabus or max portion of the syllabus we need to cover. Can I ask you something? Aji tomorrow MCSI Google Meet re hitila class.
हाँ मैम हेतला
Okay. काली tomorrow MCSI class कितने बेला होपो बोली मैडम किछि कहिचन तमनु
10:30
रे होपो. Okay, fine.
मैम काली शेड्यूल अनुसार आरएम दीटा अछि ना
काली आरएम दीटा अछि आपन का शेड्यूल अनुसार सेमती हबो. 10:30 रु tomorrow MCSI हे जिवो. Then evening रे tomorrow हबो BIM and I think ED thibo. As for your timetable, I think ED thibo kali. ED अछि त तमन का कली ED thibo. सर आज कहिछन कली क्लास नेबो पई
ना किछि कोऑर्डिनेटर सेमते किछि इंफॉर्मेशन देना है.
ओके ओके ताहले मु पचार देबी सर को. संडे आई थिंक सर फ्री थिबे नहीं परिबे एंड लास्ट क्लास तो तमरो बीआईएम होबो. तमरो नेक्स्ट वीक रो जो क्लास रो टाइम टेबल अछि टिके चेंज हेछि दैट आई विल शेयर टुमारो. कालीटा तो एमती रहिबो क्लासेस. बाकी जहां भी क्लासेस रो चेंजेस हेछि मु गोटे शॉर्ट बिकॉज़ तमरो आ परे 26 रो जो एमसीसी क्लास टा 9 टा 10 टा थिला सेटा होबनी. फाइन 9 टा 10 टा एमसीसी क्लास टा हमें इवनिंग रे टिके मर्ज करिबो. सो जो दिन एमसीसी तमरो 9 टा 10 टा थिबो फ्रॉम 26 ऑनवर्ड सेगुडा तमरो 9 टा 10 टा एमसीसी होबनी. NCSI ଟା evening period ରେ ହବ and I will share the timetable in the group so that ତମମାନେ ଜାଣିପାରିବେ।
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ତା ଏଗେନ୍ଷ୍ଟ ରେ ତା ଟାଇମିଂ ରେ ଆଉ କିଛି କ୍ଲାସ ହବ କି ନା ପୁରା ବ୍ଲାଙ୍କ ରହିବ?
ସେ କଣ କି ତମର ମାନେ ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ଟିଚର୍ସ ମାନେ ବି ଅଛନ୍ତି they are all preoccupied, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର କିଛି ନା କିଛି assignment ସମସ୍ତେ ରଖିଛନ୍ତି। ଯେମିତି କି ମୋର ଧରନ୍ତୁ ମୋର 9ଟା ରୁ 10ଟା ଅଫଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାସ ରହୁଛି and ମୋ maximum time DDC ରେ 9ଟା ରୁ 10ଟା ଅଫଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାସ ରେ ରହୁଛି। ସେମିତି ସାରଙ୍କର ଅଫଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ ରହୁଛି ଯୋଉଟା ମୋ ରେଗୁଲାର କୋର୍ସ ଚାଲିଛି DDC ରେ ସେଗୁଡା ଅଫଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାସ ହଉଛି ତ ଆମେ ପ୍ରାୟ ରହୁଛୁ ଆଉ ଯୋଉମାନେ ବାହାର ଟିଚର୍ସ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ଅଲରେଡି କୋଉଠି ନା କୋଉଠି ସେ ସମୟଟା ଅଲରେଡି ବୁକ୍ କରିଦେଇଛନ୍ତି। ସେଥିପାଇଁ କି ଟାଇମ ଟେବୁଲ କୁ ଏକଦମ ସେ ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିକିନା ଆଉ ଜଣକୁ ଆଇ ୱିଲ୍ ଟ୍ରାଏ ଟୁ ଆସ୍କ, ମୁଁ ଅଲରେଡି ପଚାରିଛି ବଟ୍ no one is able to take 9 to 10 ସମୟଟା ପ୍ରାୟ ସବୁ ଟିଚର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କର ଟ୍ରାଭେଲିଂ ଟାଇମ ଥାଏ। ତ I'll try ଯଦି ସେ ଟାଇମରେ ଆଉ କିଏ ଟିଚର୍ସ ହଁ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତାହେଲେ we will try to adjust, ଯଦି ନ ହେଲା then ତମର ଇଭିନିଂ ପିରିୟଡରେ 3ଟା କ୍ଲାସ ହବ and ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ରେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ଲାସ ଯୋଉଦିନ MCSI ସ୍ପେସିଫିକାଲି ଥିବ। ଅଦର ଟାଇମ ଟେବୁଲ ରିମେନ୍ ସିମିଲାର, ଅନ୍ୟ ଟାଇମ ଟେବୁଲ ରେ କିଛି ଚେଞ୍ଜେସ୍ ନାହିଁ, it will remain similar as the timetable we shared। କେବଳ MCSI ଟିକେ ରହୁଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ବିକଜ ସେଇ କ୍ଲାସ ଟା ଟିକେ ଏପଟ ସେପଟ। Fine, I will share the timetable, don't worry about that, so that you all have the information about the classes. So
Okay, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you so much and good night to all of you.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night to all
Thank you,
of you.
ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Good night.